Wait. It's wet outside. Lift it up and carry it.
I came to high school straight from Cabrini Elementary, right across the street. So I've known the majority of the people in my class since we were little kids. And I personally started off high school with my same big friend group that I had in middle school. And when we got to the high school and the group kind of started to fall apart and people started to go their own separate ways, I freaked out a little bit. But there's a quote from Will Grayson that says, "If you keep focusing on why you have it so bad, you'll never realize how you could have it so good." And I think that quote really applies to my freshman year because I really didn't realize how good things could actually be. And I had the same friends forever, and losing some of them was heartbreaking. But a couple of my friends stuck through it all and continue to be some of my best friends today. A quote from the Beatrice letters says, "I never want to be away from you again, except at work, in the restroom, or when one of us is at a movie the other does not want to see." I think this quote is very representative of how I felt toward all my friends during freshman year. They stuck by my side and I wanted to stick by theirs all the time, but I eventually got to a point where I knew that I had to figure out how to become my own person rather than just being constantly attached to somebody else. A quote from The Great Gatsby says, "All I kept thinking about over and over was, you can't live forever, you can't live forever." When I was first starting out as a freshman, I didn't completely understand this, but as time went on, I knew it more and more to be true. By sophomore year, I knew that I had to break out of my shell. A quote from Looking for Alaska says, Thomas Edison's last words were, "It's very beautiful over there. I don't know where there is, but I believe it's somewhere and I hope it's beautiful." As soon as sophomore year started, I was looking for my somewhere. I needed my somewhere on earth and I wanted to find where I could be truly happy. Man, when you lose your laugh, you lose your footing. I had lost my laugh and I was trying to get it back. I needed my somewhere and I needed my laugh. I found it at the end of my sophomore year when my counselor asked me if I'd be interested in doing this crazy thing called MyLead. It stands for Michigan Youth Leadership, and I'm so incredibly grateful for it because I've never been in a happier place. Before I went to MyLead, I thought the purpose of my life was to make sure that other people would accept me, and I thought that I had to change who I was for that to happen. But when I went to MyLead, I realized I have other duties just as sacred, duties to myself. MyLead is a 3-day leadership and personal growth conference, which sounds super serious, but it's actually just a very accepting place with very encouraging people who want to help you step out of your comfort zone. Once I did burst out of my own comfort zone, I couldn't have been happier. There, I found my laugh. Not only was I happy at MyLead, but it taught me how to be happy on my own. When I was a participant at my first ever conference, everybody just made me keep thinking to myself, you know, I think you're the first person I've ever told this to that understood what I was talking about. And I felt very understood, and I made some of my best friends I've carried with me today. Of course, I continued as a conference alumni, and my third conference is coming up very quickly this June, and I'm already super excited to be back in my somewhere. Going into my junior year, my newfound happiness helped me to remember the opposite of bravery is not cowardice, but conformity. Junior year is when I really started to find myself and understand that I didn't always have to be like everybody else. I think I was scared to be my own person, and I was worried that others would judge me. But I told myself to jump outside my comfort zone and stop caring about what other people thought of me. A quote from The Sky is Everywhere says, "I always felt like I was in a story, yes, but not like I was the author of it or like I had any say in its telling whatsoever." This summed up my life until last year, but as I entered the year, I decided to take a leap of faith and write my own story. I'm not a minor character in someone else's story. I'm the protagonist of my own. This quote from Old Man and the Sea says, "The bed is my friend." I lost so much sleep throughout all of high school, and sometimes all I really wanted was a nap. Despite my sleep deprivation, I stayed up super late every night and ran exclusively on coffee every day. To my surprise, it actually kind of ended up paying off. I got an invitation to apply to Stanford's Pre-Collegiate Summer Institutes, and I wasn't even gonna bother to apply because I never thought that I had any chance of getting in. And I kept thinking to myself, do I dare disturb the universe? When it came time that I had to answer that question, I answered yes. I was completely taken back when my yes received another yes back. Stanford had said yes to me. They accepted me for the summer, and they even offered to pay for all of it. But for a long time, I was debating whether I actually wanted to go or not, because it was something very scary going all the way to the complete opposite side of the country by myself for so long. I didn't know if I could do it. But at the last minute, I turned left because I never had before and because I had time to go down a different road. Choosing to go to Stanford for the summer was this terrifying yet exhilarating thing, and for once, I wasn't actually scared. I like it when somebody gets excited about something. It's nice. This time, I was incredibly excited. I was ready to explore what it's like to be on my own, so far away from everything else. That summer ended up being the best summer of my life, and when it came time to leave my new home and all the new friends that came with it, I didn't really want to. I wish I could stay forever, but I knew I had to come home to continue with my life and get ready for a new adventure. So I came home and I continued with my daily routine. Part of my daily routine was dance, where there is no stage you comprehend better than the one you have just left. I was constantly sharing a stage with the same group of people that I grew up with. I understood that stage full of people so well. My dance friends and I know each other inside and out, and I couldn't be more grateful for them. For the longest time though, these girls were just my friends from dance. The same girls I spent hours with every day at endless rehearsals and classes. I had to find them. This year I realized to define is to limit. I didn't want to limit my friendships with the girls who I share the most in common with and who understand me the most. So during my senior year, I stopped defining them. Because of this, I grew closer to them than I ever had been before. I consider these girls some of my best friends, and I don't know what I would do without them. As I head off to college at Michigan State this year, I'm lucky enough to be able to take one of them as my suite mate. We're both going into engineering, and I couldn't be happier to be taking it on together. We still have a couple months before we move away, and all of my dance friends and I have already been planning for them to come and sleep over and for us to come back and visit. I love these girls eternally, and I'm so glad that we became so much closer this year. While I definitely still have some of my closest friends within my school, the most major parts of my 4 years of high school took place outside Cabrini. It may not be the path that most kids usually take, but it's my path and it's my story. And if you don't like my story, then write your own.